Welcome to Hilary Emmanuel Ministries, where faith meets power, purity and prosperity, and breakthroughs are born. At Diadem, we equip you with bold prayers, life-transforming teachings, and spiritual strategies to overcome every challenge life throws your way. Join us as we dive into God's Word, experience His presence like never before, and walk in His purpose for our lives. If you're in London, we invite you to fellowship with us in person at Diadem, 4 Pegamoid Road, N18 2NG. Don't forget to subscribe now and let's grow in faith together.
I believe the Lord has a word for us today. And I want to plead with you to listen attentively. Don't allow anything to distract you so that you can get what the Lord wants to tell us today. And so that the power of the word of God can do miracles in your life. I believe the Lord is speaking to us specifically about an issue today. Don't allow sleep also to distract you. The Lord shall give you the vigilance. I've told you before, brethren, that, and you know this by yourself, that we are in a war. We are in a severe war. The different times that this war started in our lives, we might not be able to pinpoint. Some of us, the war started before we were even born. We were born right into the middle of the war. Some people the war started the day they were born. It was when they were growing up, their own war started. And some just encountered their war recently. So these wars, they are real. They are real. And these wars, they are wars against destinies. The destiny of man. And when we get this understanding that we have to fight for our destiny, and we start the war, and we start to fight, and the Lord himself begins to lead us from one battlefront to another battlefront, begin to show us the enemies to deal with here and there, and we are following the Lord, we must remain constantly in the Spirit. Take note of every word I say to you today. Let's learn how to operate in the Spirit. Let's learn how to be tuned to the Spirit. The dynamism of this war, the spiritual war we are talking about, the war for our destiny we are talking about, is so dynamic that it can prolong. It can prolong. Let me show you an example. Do you see the case of David? David started his own battle when he was just, the Bible says he was young and ruddy. Very, very young. That's when his own battle started. And do you know this battle followed him until he was 70 years? So that's the dynamism of this battle. And this length of time, this prolonged period of the war, a lot of things happen. In the process of this long battle, you will defeat so many enemies. You yourself will suffer downfall in some points. You yourself might suffer some defeat at some points. Some people even die in the process. There's a lot of things that happen in this prolonged time of battle. And another thing I want to draw your attention to in the battle of destiny is that when the battle prolongs like that, sometimes and most times, friends could become foes, and foes could become friends. That's the dynamism of the battle of destiny. Friends that were fighting on your side, that were part of you before, that were supporting you, they could become enemies. Enemies could even transform and become friends. So take note of this. And that's why you have to know when God is doing what and what God is doing at every time. You have to know when God is telling you to fight. You have to know when God is telling you not to fight. Are you following me? You have to know where to draw the line. Take note of this. You have to know when the war stops. Because the war is not forever. The war will not last forever. You must be able to know where the war stops and where peace begins. If you are not able to understand these things in the spirit realm, if you are not able to read the handwriting and know the move of God, you discover that you still continue to fight even when the war has stopped. Are you with me? Are you understanding me? You must learn to know and to follow God. To know when God is telling you, this very particular war has ended. It is time for peace. If you don't know these things, there's one implication. You will end up shedding the blood of war in peace. Brethren, that's what I want to talk about today. Shedding the blood of war in peace. When we shed the blood of war in peace, we bring upon ourselves blood guiltiness. Blood guiltiness. Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, look at verse 1. The Bible says, to everything there is a season. Are you there with me? Everything in the life of a man, there is a season. He said, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to break down, a time to build up. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get, and a time to lose. A time to keep, and a time to cast away. A time to rend, and a time to sow. A time to keep silence, and a time to speak. Look at verse 8. A time to love, and a time to hate. A time of war, and a time of... There's a time for everything. You must know what time you are operating in. If you don't know, you cannot discern the time you are operating in. You'll find yourself doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. You find yourself, when it's time for peace, you find yourself still fighting wars. Are you following me? 1 Kings chapter 2, look at verse 1. He said, now, the days of David drew nigh that he should die. David was around 70 years old already this time. He has spent all his life fighting. And the time was drawing near for him to die. He has spent all his life fighting different wars. He has seen it all. He has seen different kinds of battles. He has seen different kinds of enemies. He has seen friends turn to foes. He has seen foes turn to friends. He has seen it all. And now let us see what he was doing at this point in time. And he called his son Solomon and charged Solomon his son, saying, look at the advice he gave Solomon now. Look at what he told Solomon. This is a man that has seen it all. A man that has fought battle in Israel like no human being has ever fought before. He told Solomon, I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong therefore, and show thyself a man, and keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his way, to keep his statutes and his commandments and his judgment and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses, that thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest, and whithersoever thou turnest thyself. Verse 4. That the Lord may continue his word, which he spake concerning me. He didn't say concerning Solomon, he said concerning me, which means there were some promises of God that were still yet to fulfill. That David knew even when he dies, those promises will still manifest. He says, Solomon, it's in your hand now to maintain solid, robust relationship with this God, so that those things said concerning me will manifest in your own life. You see what he was charging his son here? If thy children, look at what he told him, saying, if thy children take heed to their way, to walk before me in truth with all their heart and with all their soul, there shall not fail thee, said a man on the throne of Israel. He said, I will always place your son on the throne of Israel. That's the promise of God unto David. He says, Solomon, please make sure that you maintain relationship with this God so that this promise can fulfill. Now look at other things he charged Solomon. Verse 5. He said, moreover, why more and over? Moreover is two compound words. More and over, which means there's still more. There's still some things I'm transferring over to you. So he said, moreover, he said, do you remember what Joab did? He called the name. Actually, Joab was his cousin. Joab was David's cousin. Because the mother of Joab was Zeruiah. Zeruiah was David's aunt. He said, you remember what Joab, the son of Zeruiah, did to me, and what he did to the two captains of the host of Israel, unto Abner, the son of Ner, and unto Amasa, the son of Jether, whom he did what? Follow me, follow me, follow me, don't be distracted. Whom he slew and did what? And shed the blood of war in peace. Joab went and killed Abner and killed Amasa when there was no more war. There was war before. They've been fighting wars before. The camp of David and the camp of Abner and King Saul. Because Abner was the captain of the army of King Saul. He was captain, the chief of staff of the army of Israel. So they have been fighting war before. And now the war has ceased. No more war. That's when Joab went and killed Abner. You see how David interpreted it? He said he shed the blood of war in peace. Look at the consequence. By doing so, he put the blood of war upon his... He said he has brought blood upon his own girdle, upon himself. That was about his loin and his shoes that were on his feet. He said he has stained both his clothes and his shoe with blood. The blood of war that he shed in peace. Look at what David told Solomon to do, verse 6. He said, do therefore according to thy wisdom, and let not his whole head go down to the grave in peace. He said, make sure you kill him. Don't allow him to die natural death. Make sure you slaughter him. His head must go into the grave with blood also. And this was because he shed the blood of war in peace. That was not the only person. He now go into verse 7. He said, but show kindness unto the sons of Barzillai, the Gileadite. You remember this old man, 80-something years, the one that accommodated David when David ran away from Absalom. So this is the man. He said, remember that man, the Gileadite, and let them be of those that eat at thy table. For so they came to me when I fled because of Absalom thy brother. So these are the handover. These are the handover that David was doing to Solomon. You need to understand the background. Joab didn't know when war ends and when peace begins. He didn't know how to draw the boundary. He didn't know how to separate it. Yes, they have been at war. The war has lasted for over 40 years. All through the reign of King Saul, the war was raging. Until David even became partly king, the war was still there. But the war has come to an end now. And it's now time for peace. But Joab couldn't draw the line. And because he couldn't separate between war and peace, he shed the blood of war in peace. And brought blood guiltiness upon himself and his family. Brethren, if we don't know these things, you will continue to fight until you will fight against yourself. Because now, Joab has fought and fought. Now, this last battle now is against himself. He has now fought against himself. He has now brought even though he has succeeded in killing Abner, in killing Amasa, but now the defeat or the victory he thought he has achieved was now contrary. It's now against him. Are you understanding anything? Are you following me? Listen carefully. If we don't know how to separate these things, sometimes we will find ourselves fighting against God. I will show you. The battle that God has been fighting for us all these years, if we don't know where to separate between war and peace, we will end up fighting against God. Because we don't understand what God is doing at what time. All we know is that we are fighting and fighting, but when did God say fighting has stopped, start peace process? What was Joab fighting for all these years? What was he fighting for? What was the whole war about? Was it not about making David king? Was it not about the destiny of David? It wasn't even Joab's destiny. The whole war is not about Joab. And so, brethren, when you fight another person's battle, fight it with wisdom. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So that he was fighting for David, isn't it? It was David's destiny we are talking about here. King Saul was not against Joab. King Saul was not pursuing Joab. King Saul was after David and David's destiny. So all of them were fighting for David, isn't it? All of them were supporting David, fighting for the destiny of David. And David is telling you, it is time for peace now. And you say, no. So you now see that if you are not careful, you will begin to walk against yourself and walk even against God's plan and God's purpose. I will still show you from the scripture. So he was fighting to secure the throne for David. But do you know that the throne that God promised David, it wasn't David that was going to take it by sword. It was not David. David on his own could not take the throne by sword, no matter how strong he was. It was God that promised him the throne, isn't it? It was God that will give him the throne. Our destiny, who created our destiny, is it not God? It's the same God that will fulfill that destiny for us. So whatsoever David was doing, it was very, very important that they were following God's roadmap, following God's blueprint, so that they will not be walking against God at any time. So Joab was showing zeal. Joab was working hard for his master, which was wonderful, which was good. But he should have followed his master's footsteps. He should have followed what the master was doing. But because he didn't know all these things, you can see that he started to walk against even what God was doing. I'm going to show you what God was doing. I will show you what God was doing. Because sometimes we are fighting and fighting. We don't know what God is doing at the background. We don't know what God is doing at the background. And that which God is doing at the background is very, very important. Now look at what happened. 2 Samuel chapter 2. Look at verse 1. 2 Samuel chapter 2 verse 1. And it came to pass after this that David inquired of the Lord. Do you see that, brethren? Do you see how David operated? Every step he took, he will ask God first. Everything he would do, he will ask God first. He inquired of the Lord. He says, saying, shall I go up into any of the cities of Judah? Because then he has run away from Israel, run away from Judah. He was living in the territories of the enemy. Sometimes he will live in Philistine, sometimes he will go to the other place where he married from. He was asking God, should I go to Judah? And the Lord said unto him, go up. He said, go to Judah. And David said, where should I go to? And he said, go to Hebron. Go to Hebron. Verse 2. So David went up thither, and his 2 wives also. When David started this battle, he has not married. It's in the process of the battle he married 2 wives. Had how many children? He said his 2 wives also, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail Nabal's wife the Carmelite, and his men that were with him did David bring up, every man with his household, and they dwelt in the city of Hebron. So they all migrated. About how many of them went to Hebron to live? Verse 4. And the men of Judah, take note of this now, only the tribe of Judah, his own tribe. The remaining 11 tribes were not part of this. The men of Judah only came, and they anointed David king over what? The house of Judah. But was it the house of Judah alone God promised David? It's the house of Israel, the entire nation. But now only his tribe made him king. So he still had to work more to gain the remaining 11 tribes. Are you following me, brethren? But at least it's an improvement. It's a breakthrough. It's a progress. But it's a work in progress. It's not yet finished. The promise of God has not fulfilled yet. Let's see what happened. And they told David, saying that the men of Jabesh-Gilead were they that buried Saul. And David sent messengers unto the men of Jabesh-Gilead and said unto them, blessed be ye of the Lord, that ye have showed this kindness unto your Lord, even unto Saul, and have buried him. And now the Lord show kindness and truth unto you, and I also will requite you this kindness, because you have done this thing. Therefore now, let your hands be strengthened, and be ye valiant, for your master Saul is dead, and also the house of Judah have anointed me king over them. No, I will not. You are distracting people. Look at verse 8. But Abner, take note now. But Abner was the captain of the army of Israel. This time, Saul has died, though. King Saul was dead. You might think that if King Saul dies, the battle will be over, isn't it? David should become the king automatically over the whole of Israel. But Abner was there. Abner was the captain of the army. Abner stood firm. Take note of verse 8. But Abner, the son of Ner, captain of Saul's host. Look at what Abner did now. He took Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim and made him king. over Gilead, and over Ashurite, and over Jerusalem, and over Ephraim, and over Benjamin, and over all. Do you see that? We are back to square one. We are back to square one. Ishbosheth, or the son of Saul, could not do this by himself. It was the power of Abner. The power of Abner. Being a military man, being a general, being the head of the army, being everything for his political clout in Israel, that he was able to do this. He made sure that the lineage of Saul continued. He put the son of King Saul on the throne and established him king over the whole, even including other enemy territories. Where are we now? Where is David now? Why didn't Joab go out and fight with Abner and conquer Abner and take over the whole Israel from him? Are you following me? Because this is where you show your valiancy. This is where you show you are a military man. Go out like a man, carry your own army, face Abner, and fight it man to man. But he didn't do that. Now Abner is controlling the greater territory of the nation. Look at what follows. Verse 10. Saul's son was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel. And he reigned how long? Do you see? He has started to reign already. 2 years was gone. David was reigning over Judah, the other side. This other guy was reigning here. 2 years. But the house of Judah followed David. That's his own family now. And the time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was how long? 7 years and 6 months. And they could not touch Abner. Do you see what we are talking about? In other words, Abner was strategic. Abner was holding the key to David's destiny. Abner was holding the key to the promises of God for David. Abner was a strategic enemy. Are you following me? Verse 12. And Abner, the son of Ner, the servant of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, went out from Mahanaim to Gibeon. And Joab, verse 13, and Joab, the son of Zeruiah, take note of what happened now. Take note of what happened here. Because Joab tried it. He thought he could try to overthrow Abner and capture the 11 tribes. So they went out and met together by the pool of Gibeon. And they sat down, one on the other side of the pool, and the other on the other side. Verse 14, and Abner said unto Joab, let the young men now arise and play before us. So because they all came with their army. He said, let us do some game. Let's play. Let's try warfare. And Joab said, let them rise. Let's do it. Then there arose and went over by number 12 of Benjamin, which pertained to Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and 12 of the servants of David. And they caught everyone his fellow by the head and thrust the sword in the fellow's side, so they fell down together. So they chose 12. They came out, grabbed each other by the head, put sword on each other, 12 of them fall together. Wherefore that place was called Helkath Hazurim, which is in Gibeon. Verse 17. And the battle now started. And there was a very sore battle that day. And Abner was beaten, and the men of Israel, before the servant of David. And there were 3 sons of Zeruiah there. Joab has a brother called Abishai, and they have a younger brother called Asahel. And Asahel was as lightfoot as a wide roe. And Asahel pursued after Abner. Asahel wanted to kill Abner at all costs in that battle. So Asahel pursued Abner, and in going he turned not to the right or not to the left from following Abner. Verse 20, then Abner looked behind and said, art thou Asahel? And he said, I am. And Abner said to him, turn thee right to the right hand or to the left, and lay hold on one of the young men and take his armor. But Asahel would not turn aside from following him. He was telling Asahel, stop pursuing me. Stop pursuing me. Turn to the right. Capture any person and kill any person you want to kill. But leave me alone. Asahel refused. Asahel was determined to kill Abner that day, not knowing he's an old soldier. Look at verse 22. And Abner said again to Asahel, turn thee aside from following me. Wherefore shall I smite thee to the ground? How then shall I hold up my face to Joab thy brother? He warned him. He said, stop pursuing me. I will kill you. How am I going to face your brother Joab? Howbeit, he refused to turn aside. Wherefore, Abner with the hinder end of the spear smote him under the feet. All Abner did was to take a spear, just did it like this, and hit him straight on under the 5th rib. And he fell down there and died in the same place. And it came to pass that as many as came to the place where Asahel fell down and died stood still. And Joab also and Abishai the two brothers, they pursued after Abner, and the sun went down when they were come to the hill of Ammah, that lied before Giah by the way of the wilderness of Gibeon. And the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together after Abner, and became one troop, and stood on top of an hill. Verse 26. Then Abner called to Joab and said, shall the sword devour forever? How long are we going to do this? Knowest thou not that it will be bitterness in the later end? He said, this is Israel fighting against Israel. All these things we are doing is going to turn to bitterness for everybody. No person is going to become a winner. How long shall it be then before thou bid the people return from following their brethren? And Joab said, as God liveth, unless thou hast spoken, surely then in the morning the people had gone up everyone from following his brother. So Joab blew the trumpet, and all the people stood still and pursued after Israel no more, neither fought they anymore. They brought it to an end like that. This was the war. But Joab never forgave Abner because he killed his younger brother. Joab didn't forgive. Joab was still determined to revenge. You see, a lot of things happen in battle. There must surely be casualties. There's no battle that you have gone to and people come out with chocolate and flowers. It's battle and blood, broken legs and hands. That's what happened in battles. So we must learn to face the consequences of battles. And we must learn when to say, the battle is over, it's time for peace. Even though they made this truce and everything stopped there, but Joab never let go. So this was the war. But so many years, brethren, have passed. So many years have passed. The nation of Israel was now healing gradually. The nation was healing gradually. Former enemies were becoming friends now. Enemies before were turning to friends softly, gradually. But Joab did not know how to transit from war to peace. He didn't know how to transit. He did not know what Ecclesiastes told us, that there is time for war and there is time for peace. Brethren, if you don't know how and when war ends and when peace starts, you will become a Joab. You will become a Joab. You will end up shedding the blood of war in peace. Look at what he did after so many years. I want to show you the strategic position of Abner. Because do you know, after this war, even though the people of David, the Bible said that they defeated the people of Abner and Israel, do you know they didn't take the kingdom? No, the 11 tribes didn't follow David. Nothing shifted. Nothing shifted. Things still remained the way it was. David was still the king of only Judah. Before, anywhere you see Judah, you see Benjamin. Two of them always go together. But because Saul also was Benjamin, so Benjamin didn't follow Judah this time around. So David was left only with his own tribe. Now look at what happened. So that when God is moving for you, when God is doing something for you, you do not use your own hand to obstruct God, to destroy what God is doing. Look at, humanly speaking now, Abner has fought the war. Did he change anything? Couldn't change anything. He couldn't transform David to the king of the whole Israel. He didn't achieve that. So they were still stuck in the same place they were before. Now look at what happened. 2 Samuel chapter 3. And this was what the Father was teaching us last time, if you still remember, brethren. When he told us, when we're doing our 40 days, he said we should pray. He said we should pray. He said when a man's way pleases God, he will make even his enemy to be at peace with him. There are occasions, that's what will deliver us from all the wars. God himself turning our enemies to our friends, touching our foes to turn around and begin to favor us. And it's only God that can do it. It's only God that can do it. No amount of war can make you achieve it by yourself. So when God is doing such a thing, we must learn to know, okay, God is moving here. God is doing something here. Now let me ask you, for over 30 years, David was running from King Saul. All the soldiers that later were coming to David in their thousands, those were those soldiers that were fighting for King Saul. Those were the army of Israel. Those ones the Bible describes as that had faces like the face of lion. Those are the group of people that were fighting in Saul's army. Those were the real enemies of David before. But was it David that converted them? Was it David that preached to them and they repented? It was God that touched him. David didn't know what was going on. On their own accord, they were coming to meet David to help him. to make him king. That's the whole thing the battle is all about. It's all about the destiny of David becoming king. So if David now, when those soldiers were coming, and they were coming in their thousands, if David still stood up and carried sword and began to behead all of them, is he not frustrating himself? Is he not fighting against himself? Is he not obstructing God from what God is doing? We must learn to know when the war ends and when peace begins. Are you following me? 2 Samuel chapter 3, look at verse 1. The Bible says, now there was long war between the house of Saul and the house of David. Long war, so many years. But David waxed stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. Why didn't God bring the whole battle to an end once? He was doing it gradually. He was doing it piecemeal. He was doing it, at a time, using it to achieve something. Look at verse 6. And it came to pass, while there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David, I told you he was a strategic enemy. Abner made himself strong for the house of Saul. Take Abner away from the camp of Saul, the camp will collapse that day. Remove Abner, that will be the end of that camp. And God knew that, and God was working on something. Look at what followed. And Saul had a concubine. King Saul, before he died, he had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, and Ishbosheth said to Abner, Ishbosheth, that's the one that Abner made king. Ishbosheth now said to Abner, wherefore hast thou gone into my father's concubine? Do you see how God operates? What came upon the head of Ishbosheth, it was only God that knows. He stood up and then accused Abner. He said, you have gone into my father's concubine. What concerned him and the father's concubine? What is he doing with the father's concubine? Is the father not gone? Leave concubine there. What concerns you and concubine? He went and accused Abner. That's how God operates. Sometimes he will set confusion among the camp of your enemies. He will throw them against themselves. It's for your own purpose. Look at what followed. Then was Abner very wroth for the word of Ishbosheth, and said, am I a dog's head, which against Judah do show kindness this day unto the house of Saul thy father, to his brethren and to his friends, and have delivered thee into the hand, and have not delivered thee into the hand of David, that thou chargest me today with the fault of concerning this woman. Look at verse 9. So do God to Abner, and more also, except as the Lord has sworn to David, even so I do to him. Do you see what happened here? Abner said, from now I fix myself to fulfill the promise of God in the life of David. Do you see how God is fighting his own battle? He said, I position myself today to transfer the kingdom to David. Now look at the nature, the kind of clout, the kind of political power that Abner was controlling in the land that Joab didn't have. The military power that Abner was controlling in the land that Joab didn't have. I told you that sometimes, brethren, your enemies might be holding an important key in your life. Look at verse 10. He said, I want to translate the kingdom from the house of Saul and to set up the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan unto Beersheba. Verse 11. And he could not answer Abner a word again. He has committed an unpardonable mistake. He was afraid he couldn't answer a word again, because he feared him. Can you imagine? Even the king of Israel was afraid of Abner. And Abner sent messenger. Take note now. Abner sent messenger to David on his behalf, saying, who is the land? Saying also, make thy league with me. And behold, my hand shall be with thee, to bring about all Israel unto thee. Abner sent messengers to David, say, make league with me. Allow me to come to you. I will hand over Israel to you. Brethren, there is a reason God was going this way, working on Abner like this. Because what Abner was holding, you cannot achieve it by war. Even if you kill Abner, you can't achieve it by... How can you go around and the heart of all Israel turn out their hand and say, love David? They don't love David. They don't want David. There's only one person that has the capability to go and speak to them, and they will follow him. And that was only Abner. Look at what followed. He told to David, he said, make league with me. I will bring all Israel to you. Verse 16. Okay, verse 16. Yeah. And her husband went with her because David said something to him. The first day Abner came to see him, he said, when you are coming next, bring my wife to me. You know, he married his son, the daughter of Saul. That one he used the foreskin of the Philistine to marry. He said, when you are coming, bring my wife to me. You will not see my face until you bring my wife. So they went because they've married the woman to another person. So he went and grabbed the woman. Abner is the only person that can do such a thing. Go and collect the woman from her husband and brought the woman to David. So her husband went with along weeping behind her to Baron. Then said Abner to him, go back or return immediately. Verse 17. And Abner had communication, take note now. He had communication with the elders of Israel. He reached out to the elders of Israel. Joab couldn't do this. David himself couldn't do this. Abner was the only one that held the key to do this. Brethren, there are some enemies in your life that hold strategic key. It's not all of them should be heard immediately. Are you following me? There are some enemies that hold strategic keys in your destiny. He reached out to the elders of Israel, the 11 tribes. Look at what he did. He said, ye sought for David in time past to be king over you. He said, I remember when you people were looking for David to be your king. Now then do it. For the Lord has spoken of David, saying, by the hand of my servant David will I save my people Israel out of the hand of the Philistines and out of the hand of all their enemies. He started to remind them the promise of God. Reminded them the word of God. Verse 19. And Abner also spake in the ears of Benjamin. He went to the tribe of Benjamin. And Abner went also to speak in the ears of David in Hebron. You see the kind of diplomatic move Abner was making here. He was reaching out to all the parties. Why? It's time for peace. And this is the only man that will achieve it. He will reach out to this group, reach out to David, reach out to these people. In fact, Abner should be honored in that country for being the architect of the peace of the land, the unification of the country. So he was reaching out to all of them, and he will still come to Hebron and speak to David. And all that seemed good to Israel, that seemed good to the whole house of Benjamin. Verse 20. So Abner now, when he has made all those moves, and he has gotten their approval, he came to David to Hebron. He came to see David face to face. And 20 men came with him. And David made Abner and the men that were with him, what did he do to them? That's somebody that knows the move of God. That knows the move of God. He said, I'm not going to just entertain them ordinarily. I will make a feast. There's a feast, different between a feast and a party. There's a difference also between a feast and welcome. He made a feast for him to let him know how much he appreciates his move and his efforts. He made a feast for him. Look at what happened. Verse 20. And Abner said unto David, I will arise and go, and I will gather all Israel unto my Lord the king, that they may make a league with thee, and that thou must reign over all that thy heart desired. And David sent Abner away, and he went in peace. Because it's time for peace. He said, don't worry, king. Everything is sorted out. Next time I'm coming with all Israel. I will bring all Israel to you. Now, let me ask you. That Ishbosheth or Ishbosheth, the son of, has his own tenure not expired now? Is it somebody that will tell him to look for exile where he will run to? He will run away by himself. Because all Israel now have now identified David as their king. Now look at what followed. Verse 22. And behold, the servants of David and Joab came from pursuing a troop and brought in a great spoil with them. But Abner was not with David in Hebron, for he has sent him away, and he has gone in peace. Verse 23. Because Joab was not at home when Abner came. When Joab and all the host that was with him were come. Are you there with me? Read it along with me. Who told him? Who told him? Who told him? Listen carefully. Don't allow people to tell you anything. Let God tell you what to do. Learn how to ask God questions. Learn how to inquire of God. What is going on now? What should I do? I have taught you this here. Don't let anybody come and tell you that Abner visited, that the king made feast for Abner, that the king accepted Abner and sent him away in peace. It was if those people that played that role, because those ones, who are they? What significance are they? They have been there with David, ruling over one kingdom for 7.5 years. What did they do? Did they stand up one day and say, let's go and talk even to ordinary Benjamin and see whether we can bring them along? They were not useful for anything. They were not contributive to anything in the kingdom. One single move of Abner, you see how things turned around. You see how the real destiny of David manifested. Just one move of Abner. What all of them could not achieve over how many years. So this group of people, they are good at talking. They are good at talking. Do you know Abner came, a king made feast for him, and he went away in peace. They were the one that caused this trouble. So they now told Joab, verse 24. Then Joab came to the king and said, what hast thou done? Behold, Abner came unto thee. Why is it that thou hast sent him away, and he is quite gone? Thou knowest Abner, the son of Ner, that he came to deceive thee, and to know what thy going out and thy coming in, and to know all that thou doest. And when Joab was come out of David, he sent messengers after Abner, which brought him. He said, go and bring Abner back. Which brought him back from the well Sarah. But David did not know what was going on. David didn't know that he was doing that behind. They pursued Abner and invited him back. And when Abner was returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside in the gate to speak with him quietly. He just said, please, let me talk to you. And he smote him there under the 5th rib. And he died for the blood of Asahel, his brother. Do you see now his agenda? It's all about vengeance, vindictiveness. Has nothing to do with David. Has nothing to do with his interest in the destiny of David. Some other scholars have described it that he was jealous because he knew that Abner had what he did not have. And Abner coming close to David will automatically remove him from that position he was occupying. Because he was like the second in command. He was the chief of army staff. Because David cannot allow Abner to finish that kind of job and will not give him position. So he was jealous and vindictive. And that's the only way he could do it. Verse 28. And afterward, when David heard it, he said, I and my kingdom, we are guiltless before the Lord forever from the blood of Abner, the son of Ner. He said, our hand is not in his blood. Let it rest on the head of Joab. He said, let the blood rest on the head of Joab. And on all his father's house. And let there not fail from the house of Joab. David placed curses on him. He said, let there not fail in the house of one that has an issue, or one that is a leper, or one that leaneth on his staff, or one that falleth on the sword, or one that lacketh bread. So Joab and Abishai, his brother, slew Abner, because he had slain their brother Asahel at Gibeon in the battle. They didn't know when battle ended and when peace began. Verse 31. And David said to Joab and to all the people that were with him, rend your clothes, tear your clothes, guide you with sackcloth, mourn before Abner. And the king himself followed the bear. The king followed to the burial. And they buried Abner in Hebron. And the king lifted up his voice and wept at the grave of Abner. And all people wept. And the king lamented over Abner and said, died Abner as a fool dieth? Thy hands were not bound, nor thy feet put in fetters. As a man falleth before the wicked men, so fallest thou. And all the people wept again over him. And when all the people came to cause David to eat, after the burial, people came and said David should eat. While it was yet day, David swore, saying, so do God to me, and more also, if I taste bread or aught else, until the sun be down. And all the people did what? They took notice. They observed that David's hand is not in this. David is not part of this thing. The whole of it, because that thing that Joab did will have turned everything backward again. He will have made all Israel to go back again and say, look at the people we thought we can come and join. So this is the kind of people they are. But people were watching David's actions. They were watching to see how David, and the way David reacted, the way David did everything, people took notice. People took notice. Brethren, if you are fighting other people's battle, don't go and bring innocent blood upon your head. Are you with me? And it pleased them. It pleased the people that David handled it properly. It pleased them. As whatsoever the king did pleased all the people. For all the people and all Israel, they understood that day that it was not of the king to slay Abner, the son of Ner. They said, no, the hand of king is not in this. But brethren, do you know that David's destiny wouldn't have fulfilled without Abner? That was an enemy. a strong enemy for that matter, a foe that became a friend. And it was God that turned him to a friend. No war, not human wars, not even angelic wars, lasts forever. Are you listening to me? So don't make your own war everlasting war. When God is saying your war is over and bringing peace, allow God to bring peace. Don't make your war forever war. The Bible said there was war in heaven, isn't it, in Revelation chapter 12? Michael fought against Satan. Did the war last forever? It came to an end at a point. No war lasts forever. The moment a war achieves its goal, allow peace to come. The moment any battle, any war achieves its purpose, allow peace to reign. And allow peace to achieve its own goal too. Because peace has its own purpose. Now, does this then mean that all the battles are over? Does it then mean that there's no more war? No, that's not what it means. Because we saw that David still continued to fight wars, even to the last moment of his life. So wars could still be there, but there are wars in your life that God is telling you, this war has achieved its goal. I want a transition. Something must change. We even saw David handing over some wars to Solomon, telling Solomon, my son, look at this one. I didn't finish this war. I didn't finish the other one. Help me to finish them. So that is the nature of war. But there are some specific wars, especially destiny wars, that you need to allow God to be in the move. So that we ourselves will not be the one obstructing God, blocking God, hindering God from doing what he wants to do for us. Because that move of Joab was sufficient enough to obstruct everything. And if the 11 tribes say, well, we don't want David, that's the end. David will have ruled over only Judah and died and gone home. So let us be wise, brethren. There's a need for us to know what God is doing at each time in our lives. To know when to fight wars, when to make peace, so that we do not become an obstacle in the ways of God. Let's close our eyes. Let's begin to talk to the Lord. And say, Father, I am very sorry. Where I have ignorantly obstructed what you are doing in my life. Where I have ignorantly obstructed what you are doing in my family. Obstructed what you are doing in Diadem. Where I have ignorantly, Lord, not knowing your timing, not knowing what you are doing, Lord, and I have obstructed, I have stood on your way. Father, I repent in dust and in ashes. Have mercy upon me, Lord.
Thank you for watching. If this message blessed you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to join our growing community of faith. You've just listened to the sermon, but there are powerful prayers that follow. Due to social media rules and guidelines, the prayers have been removed from this video. However, you can access the full prayers and more life-changing resources by visiting www.pastorhillary.org or downloading our app, Diadem Media. If you're in the London area, we'd love to have you fellowship with us in person at 4 Pegamoid Road, N18 2NG. If you have any questions about this message, want counseling from Pastor Hillary, or wish to share your testimonies following the prayers, please leave a comment below and someone from our team will get in touch. Until next time, may God bless you abundantly and guide you in all your ways. Stay victorious.